got here in January, just a few months ago, and in recruiting, I guess you kind of had to hit the ground running. Maybe, I don't know if you feel behind the eight ball. Like, how difficult has it been building relationships with guys when you get here in only a few months to kind of get to know them and everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's the crossover from where I came from to here. We weren't recruiting a lot of some same guys, so just that, get on the road, hit run, talk to the coaches, talk to the kids, try to get as many guys on campus as you can. I mean, recruiting's recruiting. It's just going after bigger, better fish here. So the adjustment to that was guys I used to see on the internet and watch their tape and be like, wow, it'd be really good to coach those guys. Now you get to go after those guys a little bit.
What has been your strategy, I guess? I mean, when you get your foot in the door, like first conversation and all that, like how does it evolve? What's your strategy when you are maybe, like I said, a little behind the eight ball, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to tell these guys that how you're going to develop, you know, tell them about this place. I mean, you really don't sell kids in recruiting. You give them, it's information. You give it to them, right? So if you're a high caliber kid that wants to play at the top level, compete for national championships, compete for conference championships, that's what this place is. And then how can we get you there based off how we feed them, how we train them, how we coach them. So you just kind of try to pepper them with all the different information that they can have so that they feel good about it. And then along the way, you build a really good relationship with them. You know, their likes, their dislikes, buttons to push for the kid, what drives them, kind of those types of things.
With Coach Selene, I mean, what can you tell us about him, what he brings to the table just as a coach? And I know he was the interim guy for the last 4 games at Ford.
Yeah, well, Mike and I, we come from like the same tree, so our lineage of the O-line tree that we come from, so the verbiage and stuff is a lot simpler to get used to. But the perk of that is there's 4 eyes and 2 mouths that are saying the same thing. He relates really well to the kids. He recruits hard. He's communicating with those guys, with their parents, with with the coaches, with all the people he needs to do. So he's been brought up the right way, and he knows all the inner workings to it that's going on right now.
So if you have 3 offensive line recruits in this class already, can you just take the rest of the cycle off?
Yeah, so that's why I'm here in my sweatsuit and feet up on the table. No, come off the road to see everybody here at the table. So no, it never stops. It's like recruiting's like brushing your teeth. You got to get up in the morning and do it every day. And so you're looking at guys that in this class for 23 to finish that. You're looking at guys at 24. You're evaluating 25s. You're trying to get kids to camp. You're trying to go out and see kids again that maybe, I mean, the biggest thing about especially linemen is you can see a kid in the fall that maybe he was 240 and now you go back and see him in the spring and he's 280. And that's natural maturation. So all of a sudden that guy becomes a guy. He gets on the radar. So you can never stop recruiting. You got to continually looking at these guys and covering your area. We're covering Ohio. I mean, I hit every school in my area in Ohio the last couple of weeks because that's important for us too, and Coach State to do that. So no, it never stops.
But when you can't take anything for granted and nobody's signed until December, but when you take care of business in your backyard early, does it allow you to put some energies nationally, maybe into some guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing no matter what. You know, I mean, you got to recruit your area, and then you got to work from the inside out. It's kind of how we've done it here, and what we're looking at. So, whether you have 6 guys coming into class or no guys coming into class, you still got to recruit every day, right? Like I said, and then when they're on campus with you, you get them here as many times as you can. And when they're not here, you got to make sure you're seeing them and evaluating, and that's how you turn over the next guy. You know, that story of every year in the draft, there's a guy. Well, where'd this guy end up here? How do you end up here? Maybe he just popped a little later than what the recruiting cycle's accustomed to being right now. So you got to keep working at it.
When you throughout the spring, Ryan said one of his few major concerns was depth on the offensive line. How do you feel about it to this point? Who do you see really come on during the spring, I guess?
Well, we had a chance, a lot of guys just through, guys getting banged up or nicked up a little bit, get a lot of reps, which was good. Enoch was inside, took some reps on both sides, left side and right side. You had the chance to see Jacob James get a bunch of reps, which was good. You missed, Josh a little bit in the spring. We'd like to have some more reps with that, but that's all you do. You just keep developing the guys that are around and have. And we've got through fall camp, and then you shake it out. Hopefully you have 8, 9 guys you feel comfortable getting in the game like that.
How about Enoch? I mean, he's pretty candid about his personal stuff. Obviously more about that. Right. What have you seen from him?
He's still adjusting through that. I mean, a guy that just doesn't shut down when you get that much adversity is really good. So for him, he's still growing through it. That's something I went through that in college at the same age, losing my dad, and there's no timetable where like in 6 months you're going to feel better. It's a process, and everybody works through that. And he's doing a really good job. He's still adjusting. I mean, there's times where we talk and doing things, but The sanctuary and the time to like take a deep breath, as we talked a little bit before, is when you're out on the field. Like when you're at practice and you step on the line, it's like you can shut that down for a little bit and just leave everything on the outside. And he really tried to do that this spring.
Strong practice.
Physical, powerful, right? Best games ahead of them still. You know, a lot of these kids were like in high schools and they come out of programs where like they didn't get spring football or they didn't get to do it year round. Then their best ball's still ahead of them, just by more reps and more strength and more seeing it. So I'm excited about him in the fall.
From practice 1 to practice 15, where did you see your two presumed starters at tackle take the biggest step?
Just understanding the inner workings of the game, I think. You know, because the tackle position, I mean, Dewan's taking a lot of reps, Paris moving back out there. Just the understanding of when I have help, when I don't have help. You know, if I'm on slide side versus man side, what can I do? You know, cutting my splits, doing some things. So I think the inner workings and the tools of the game really, those guys started to gravitate and grab onto of like, oh, this is the play where I can do this and this will help me. So that, you know, it eliminates, trim some of the fat on the plays as you go.
I'm not asking you to make a declaration he's going to be a first-round pick, but do you see the tools in Paris that a lot of people see that make him like
he's a highly skilled guy. I mean, he's going to pull the combine out of the water, and he's going to test well. He's going to jump well. He's going to do the interview phase as well. I mean, he's a high-level player. We're going to get him there to play that way, because ultimately that's what you got to do when you press play. You got to play like a first-round draft pick. So all these guys are probably that. Dewan on the other side. I mean, Luke Whipper on the inside. Matty Jones, you know, is kind of coming out of the shell. Like all these guys, they're all just trying to maximize themselves. You know, and let those guys that were in Vegas this past couple of weeks, let them make the big boy decisions that way.
Is that a different level of pressure, though, to go into a season and see your name kind of projected and say you a first-round pick?
You know, personally, I wouldn't know. I was always that guy. Like, yeah, he's a starter. He played a lot of games. He's a tough, you know, all those adjectives of he's a tough guy. He's a great kid. He's, you know, a smart football player, which really meant you're just not good enough. But, so I never had that problem. I would assume so, but like Paris and Dewan, all those guys that are coming in the back end of their career now and start seeing the stuff, like they're locked in. I get videos and calls from Dewan at home right now when he's on his break, like, Coach, I'm doing this set, is this good? Like, they're just workers. They just want to be great. So, you know, whatever you guys write, whatever's on the TV, yeah, that's out there. You can't say, oh, they don't see it. But I just have a good feel with these guys right now. Like, they just want to work and be their best. And, you know, whatever happens, it's supposed to happen.
To have a veteran like Matt Jones on the inside and a second-year center like Luke for first-year offensive line coach, like, how important is that, not only for the offensive line, but for you to be able to put things in and know that those guys are experienced enough to just pick it up?
I mean, yeah, it helps having experienced guys, because then you're never going to skip a step, right? You're going to install phase 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4, but as you're going through that, you may progress a little faster. So I think it's just a comfort for those guys. And then once again, like, it's not really about me, but like if I'm CJ or one of the quarterbacks sitting behind, like, that's where I have a lot of confidence on. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy's going to make the call, and that guy's going to do his job, so I can just do my job. So more of a comfort thing. Like, for me, like, we're going to coach it, we're going to install it, we're going to drill it. When you have really good players like those guys, they can do it at a high level. You got to get them to do that, and the guys around them are the ones that really. That's where the more comfort is for those guys.
You're sort of talking about, like, in recruiting, maybe before, hey, those are guys, I'd love to recruit a guy like that. Here at Ohio State, you have that opportunity. This is obviously nothing against any player you've ever coached in your career, but there are some guys on this roster, Paris, Dewan, right, who have obvious NFL goals, high-end NFL goals. Is it any different coaching guys like that? Again, you've coached great players, but maybe not somebody, for instance, with the natural skills of Paris Johnson.
You mean different at what? Like,
I don't know.
dive in deeper.
Do you to pull the best out of somebody who has that much natural talent? Do you talk to them any differently? Do you coach them
I see what you're saying.
In a different style, or do you demand more?
No, in my opinion, is like you have to have a good temperature gauge of every kid, right? The old days, in my opinion, once again, just the old guy's opinion, but like the old days are like, this is how we do it, this is why we do it, and go do it. If you don't do it, get the hell out of the way. Like, you can't coach or teach that way. Everybody has a different path to get them to be their best version of themselves. So our job is on the field, obviously, right? So no, you find out what makes Paris tick. You find out what makes Donnie tick. You find out what makes Luke tick. Like, you just go around these guys. How do you get Jacob James to play his best? And then you hold them to that standard and poke and prod and push or hug or love or whatever the adjective is there to get them to maximize themselves. Because then when it's 3rd and 2, it doesn't matter how they get there. We've got to get the first down. So whether you do it with a little bit of sugar and salt with this guy, and it's a little more gruff with this guy, and it's a little more tip sheets or walk with this guy, like that's your job as a coach, is to find a way to make those guys be at their best. And then along the way, as I've said multiple times since I've been here, like then that's where the relationship is. Because then they look at you and have the utmost of trust, like this guy's going to get the best out of me. So I'm just going to give my best. And it's not we're butting heads, or I'm doing it for the coach, or I'm doing it for this, or back to what I talked, like, I got to protect because CJ's got to throw the ball, right? That's not about me. That's about the guys there being their best and doing that together, doing that. So, no, you coach the kids, and that's part of recruiting. You get them and you find out what makes them tick, how they go, how they fit in your room, and then you kind of find the way to get them to be their best, each individual guy, holding the standards of your room.